Yo, what's up guys, Balgas here, and in today's video I wanted to make a response to the video Josh first made today around the issues in the game. I think he made some good valid points, and I also think he made some pretty outrageous points. So I just want to say this is not a personal attack on Josh. At the end of his video, he asked if people wanted to go on the podcast and address the issues and get their point across. So instead of doing that, I just decided to make a direct response video where I'm going to try and cover all the points he made throughout the video with my reasoning and my thoughts around the subject, and also counter arguments to some of the points that he made that I think are not really valid. So yeah, we're going to get straight into the first point. So the first point he sort of goes into is people in the content creator program making videos around leaked information and also like false hyping banners causing misinformation in the community. Now, this is a really big problem with YouTube on 7 Deadly Sins. There's a lot of clickbaity videos going around just because it gets views, and a lot of people do it. It's not just the content creator program people, but they have to be specifically aware that people don't follow JP at all. Some people don't do that, and if they're going to be part of the content creator program as supposed to be like a partner creator, people are going to look to them specifically around information for the game. And if they release a video saying Escanor next week, and then it gets to next week and Escanor's not there, people are going to be like, what the fuck, you said Escanor was going to come, and then go downvote the game like they did to 1 star because they didn't get Escanor when they thought Escanor was going to come. This is just really causing misinformation in the community, and I think this is something that all the creators need to take on board and just try and stop doing. I know they'll probably get less clicks because it is good content and you get a lot of clicks on stuff like that, but I personally don't do anything like that because I don't like it. So I hope other people decide to stop doing things like that as well, so it can stop causing lots of misinformation in the community. Now, as well on the subject, Josh talks about accountability a lot on this video, and I think he needs to take some accountability as well for what he did. I know he wasn't a partner program creator back then, but he has multiple videos on his channel around leaked information, yet he doesn't really own up to that at all. Yet he talks a lot about accountability, so that's just another point I wanted to make. So the second point he goes into is he goes on talking about how they fucked over the global player base multiple times already, and he specifically mentions the green band situation. I do agree with the green band situation. That was a big mistake on their part. I think it was more of a mistranslation more than a attempted on their part to deceive the community in general, but they should have owned up to it and been specifically aggressive, like offering people apologems or something like that, just so people felt a bit better about the situation. But other than the ban situation, he doesn't mention any other times that they fucked over the community, and off the top of my head I can't really think of any other times they fucked us over. Like, they might not have lived up to the expectations that people had based on JP, but that's not their problem. That's the people that base their opinions on JP. Like, so other than there's been a couple of mistranslations on the events that are running as well, like that is something that they have fucked up on. But like in general, I don't think they've really fucked up multiple times. Like, I can't think of any other times where they fucked up yet they haven't addressed. Like, all the cheating situation they've addressed, all the things like using mods and stuff they've addressed. Obviously they didn't do it as quickly as some of us might like, but they have owned up to all the things other than the fact that they fucked up on ban, which they did pass off as sort of a it wasn't our fault when it clearly was. But other than that, I can't really say they fucked up multiple times. So the third point he decides to make is he talks about how Netmarble need to make more public responses to situations as they arise. Now, I have two sides to this. I fully agree with Josh on this one. I think they need to be more proactive answering the community when stuff does happen. Like, they're pretty slow to react a lot of the time, and sometimes they don't even address it at all. And they need to be more active, talking and giving feedback to the community on Reddit, Twitter, things like that, so people aren't left in the dark and like looking to other sources for the information that people don't have the answers to. But on the flip side, you also have to respect that the person who runs the Twitter can't just start giving responses to situations because they're not authorized to. It's just some random pleb on Twitter who answers questions. So you've got to wait for the right people to make the response and to make a good response, because in the past they've not always made the right response, especially with ban. And if they jump the gun and say something that they shouldn't say, or they try to give a response to something that's not completely accurate, people are just going to jump on them and hound them around how it's not what they wanted or what they expected, and then that's going to create more decisions. So I think it's a bit of a give and take. Like, they need to increase the community responses and talk about stuff with the community more, but also we need to be more understanding that it's not just something that is going to happen overnight, and they're going to have to work on it and try and get the response rate up. But again, I agree with Josh fully on this. He next goes on to have like a little ramble about how the game needs to be free to play and how they need to keep the free to play players happy so that in the future they might spend on the game. Now, I don't know about other people in different situations, but for me, I feel like this game is pretty free to play friendly. Like, you get a lot of free summons, you get a lot of free pots, you get a lot of free materials, and I don't think the free to play players are so far behind that they can't keep up with the content, but I can understand where it might be a little bit annoying to the free to play players, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to push the release date of content at a really accelerated rate to catch us back up to JP and where Korea are at the minute. So this way we're going to have like a sort of globalized game, so all these leaks and stuff like the JP issues aren't going to be a thing anymore, because everybody's going to be at a similar place in the game. So I think this is just something people are going to have to deal with. Like, they've tried to spread out the coin shop and like the premium units as best as they can from what I've seen, so to give people the best options to pull, but obviously you're not going to be able to get everything, and it's just going to have to be something that people deal with if they don't want to spend any money on the game now, because at the end of the day, for them this is a business, so they've got to keep making money or we're not going to have a game at all. But again, I understand the frustration that free to play players might have on this, and yeah, it's just sort of a balancing expectations versus reality. And I think another reason why a lot of people think that the game might be not as free to play is because JP is more free to play friendly. I think everybody can probably agree on this, but again, there's no expectation that Global was ever going to be JP. Like, it was never going to be the same, so people can't base what stuff JP get for free based on what we get for free, because they're at different points in the game, and yeah, it's just a different game. So people just need to stop looking at JP and basing their opinions and stuff from JP. They need to just focus on Global and keep all their thoughts based on Global, and not look at the other parts of the game and try and base their opinions on the other parts of the game. So the next point he goes on to make is about how there are different versions of the game in Japan and Korea, and then says the problems with the leaks and stuff like that are because they didn't do a good job stopping the people from playing them. And so somehow the fault that people are getting misinformed is because they didn't stop people from playing the Japanese and Korean versions. So if they did a better job doing that, then we wouldn't have this problem. Now, for starters, I think that's such a fucking stupid statement to make. If people want to play Korea and Japan versions of the games, unless they tell them they can't, that's not an issue. There's no issue with people playing the versions of the games. The issue is the people that played the versions of those games and then making clickbait videos to get money on YouTube, telling people misinformation because it's going to get a lot of clicks and they're going to make good money off it. Like, that is the only issue. Like, they're not mad about people making videos based on future units coming. They're mad about people making videos saying that Escanor or X unit is coming next week when it's not said anywhere that that's happening. That's what they're pissed off about, not the fact that people make videos based on stuff that's not out yet. It's the fact that people are misinforming people and saying that stuff's coming when it's not, or by hacking into the database for the global game and leaking added assets, and to make judgments saying that because X got added to the database, that means that Y is happening next week. Like, that is what they have an issue with. It's got nothing to do with the fact that people are playing JP in Korea and saying, like, maybe you should save your gems for when Escanor comes out, whenever he comes out. It's the fact that people are saying, don't spend on this banner because Escanor's coming next week because we data mined the fuck out of Global and the assets got added. That's the main issue that they have a problem with, not the fact that people are playing the other versions of the game. So the issue isn't Netmarble's fault. It's the fault of the YouTubers and other people trying to make money by making clickbait videos telling people that stuff's coming when it's not. That is the only issue they have. They do not have an issue with people making content based on the game. So if you did play Korea and JP and you know how to do certain content, and you make a video about it, and then put that information into the global game, that's perfectly fine. Like, no one's going to have a problem with you making a video based on how to kill Crimson because you did it on JP and you know the best units for it. That's perfectly fine. But if you make a video saying, oh, this is how it's done on Japan and Korea, it's coming next week because we data mined it, that's when they have an issue. So people just need to stop fucking doing stuff like that, and it's perfectly fine. So the next point he goes on to make is about how people have no right to complain about the global being different from the other versions, and this I fully agree with Josh on. All the points he makes are correct, and people have no right to complain about global being different, because in nowhere did they ever say global was going to be a direct copy of the Japanese version or the Korean version. It's just not been said. So the fact that people have false expectations is only their own fault 100%. So yeah, people just need to grow up and like stop complaining about it being different, because not everything in the world is equal. Things are going to be different. Just deal with it, or quit, or go play JP or Korea if you like the way their games are run better than the English version, for example. He then goes on and keeps talking about how they were happy making money off people from different regions who were playing JP and Korea and stuff like that, and says that the game needs to be region locked or start banning people from outside those regions where their account is based, so that this is somehow going to stop the leaking. Now, I do not agree with this at all. I don't think that there's a problem with people playing the game that they're comfortable with playing. If I was Japanese, for example, but I lived in Canada, does that mean that I can't play the Japanese version because I don't live in Japan? But I can't speak English, so I can't play the global version either. And my money's just as good as somebody else's money, so that's not really an issue. The only issue is people feeling entitled to leaking stuff and making money off YouTube videos because they paid for money in JP. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't really get the point behind it. Like, I understand his opinion on it, but like, it doesn't really have relevance for me on the subject. And also with the banning people's accounts, like, they're never going to do that. Just because you paid for money on the JP or the Korean version of the game doesn't mean you have some natural given right to make clickbaity videos on YouTube to make money off them. Like, if anything, I think the problem is not the Netmarble taking money off the customers from Global playing different regions. It's the fact that people from Global are trying to exploit Netmarble by making YouTube money off of the JP and Korean version knowledge. That is where the issue is, not the other way around. Like, to me, it's the fault of the people trying to make YouTube money that's the real issue here, not the fact that people, just because they played the other version of the game, have to somehow now leak the game knowledge to other people. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, you're trying to make money off doing that. That's your choice if you want to do that, but you can't blame Netmarble for people doing that. It's like it's your choice to do that, not theirs. And this is sort of like a follow-on subject. Like, he doesn't directly say this, but it's sort of implied by what he does say, is that somehow the devs have a problem with people going and getting the APK and playing the Japanese or the Korean version of the game and then making videos about upcoming units and content, etc. Now, I don't believe the devs have a problem with this. I don't think they care if you make a video saying sometime soon we're going to get Escanor. You might want to save for him. This is what he does. He's pretty cool, right? Because that's going to get people hyped up for when Escanor does come out, and also people are going to more likely spend money on the game because they're going to think, oh, I really need this unit, it's really cool. They're not going to stop people from doing that. They don't have an issue with people doing that. They have an issue with people saying stuff like, oh, X is coming now because this is when we data mine the game and the assets got added. So we're going to say that it's out next week, even though there's no direct reason or response saying that it's going to be out next week. We're just going to say it's out next week. That is what they have an issue with. They're not going to stop people from making videos based on stuff they learnt from JP and Korea. That's not what they're going to do. They're just trying to stop people from making videos like, X unit is coming next week because we data mined it. Here are some assets that showed up in the global game, so you better save your stuff now because it might be coming out next week. Stuff like that is like what they don't want. Like, they've got no problem with people making content based on JP and Korea. So I really don't feel that they're going to have an issue if you download the APK from Japan and play the Japan game and then start trying to pass on knowledge again from Japan. And if they do have that, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do think that that's not what they want in the game. And that's why they're trying to push the schedule for release up for all the content in Global to try and get everyone back on the same schedule and the same page so that this whole issue stops and everyone's going to get the same content at the same time and we're all a big happy family, and there's rainbows and unicorns and things like that. But yeah, I don't think this is an issue. Like, they're not going to start banning YouTubers for making videos about stuff that's not out in the game, but they might start banning people or take unkindly to people who keep making the clickbaity videos and the ones that are stuff like this is coming next week when it's not announced, or the ones showing the data mine leaks information and stuff like that. That's what they have an issue with, in my opinion. That is the only content that they're going to start striking down. And the last point Josh goes on about again is accountability, and we need to bring back the enjoyment of day one on global. Now, I completely agree with this, but it works both ways. I remember day one of global being a lot of fucking videos about you must reroll Green Meliodas, he's the best unit in the game. And look now, how many people can honestly say they use Green Meliodas ever? Because I sure as fuck don't. And yeah, it's just, people need to take accountability for their actions both ways. If they make a mistake in the game, like ban, the devs need to take accountability for it and own up to their actions quicker and let the community know about it quicker. But also, the YouTubers are the main people that need to take accountability and stop making clickbait videos that are just trash content because it gets easy views and easy money. And yeah, I understand where YouTube people are from though. Like, some people do it for a living. I don't personally, obviously, but people like Josh do it for a living, so he needs to make money. So if he doesn't get the clicks, he doesn't get the money. So, and then he doesn't get to live, basically. So I can understand where Josh is coming from as well. But this is just my take on the subject, and I think if everybody just starts to really try and take more accountability for the type of content they're releasing for the game, like if people stop releasing clickbait videos and focus more on cool stuff like cool PvP videos, showcases on units that are like not popularly used, stuff like guide videos based on actual global information, not just based on JP, and saying this is really cool, use this tactic to beat it on global, wait till while I log into my JP account with my level 80 units with UR gear and show you how easy it is. Like, that's just a shitty video in my opinion. Like, and the community also needs to take accountability. People need to stop watching shitty videos that are obviously clickbait. Like, I understand that some people just want to have a fun experience and watch a cool video where people shit talk and just make you laugh. That's fine, but then don't also take that as like gospel and like take it with like, I must follow this exactly. Like, that's not what you should be doing. You should be enjoying the video, yeah, because the people who make the content try and do it for a living, so they need the clicks. So if it's fun, like Sekapoko, he's another YouTuber that I don't always agree with, but he tries to make his videos fun, make like fun enjoyment, and get people like laughing and things like that, which I think's fine. But as long as you base the JP information on the global game and actually show the stuff based in global and stop making clickbait videos, I think everybody's just going to have a generally better experience with the game, and the whole issue with this is going to stop. And I don't think it's as big as everyone's making it out to be. Hopefully it's going to die down soon, because we don't really need drama. I'd rather watch a video watching somebody wreck people with Blue Gila, or watching someone wrecking PvP with Blue Jericho and things like that. Like, that's what I want to see in the game, not like videos saying that this got data mined and you must copy this, you must do this because JP said so, and things like that. So yeah, I hope everybody can just take accountability for their actions and try and make the space better. I want to thank Josh specifically for making his video. I think it was pretty cool of him to start making that first leap out to try and address some of the issues, and I hope if anybody has any points to my statements that I made, feel free to quote me and make your own points known. So yeah, cheers guys. Hopefully everything gets better soon. See you later.